would let this animal back into their living room to try to recruit their son.
The governor calling out a former coach, but he has different feelings about the Rutgers president. We have details. Plus, anxious days for New Jersey's Korean community. Good days for the Garden State surfers, and salad days for a noisy bug. It's all ahead on NJ Today.
Major funding for NJ Today provided in part by New Jersey manufacturers, auto insurance, and more for New Jersey Business and Industry Association members and their employees. New Jersey Association of Realtors, the voice for real estate in New Jersey. More information is online at njar.com. Verizon, communication solutions designed for the people and businesses of New Jersey. The members of the New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child. The Star Ledger and NJ.com. And by PSE&G, serving customers, strengthening the business community, and investing in New Jersey's future. Now stay tuned for NJ Today. From the production studios of Montclair State University, this is NJ Today with Mike Schneider.
Hello once again. They're going to essentially investigate themselves. Officials at Rutgers University announcing today that they will conduct an internal review of the scandal surrounding the former basketball coach Mike Rice. They say an outside advisor will be brought in to lead that investigation as they try to limit the damage done to the university's reputation and to explain some things that the former coach himself can't explain.
There's no explanation for what's on those films because there is no excuse for it. I was wrong.
It may be a case of stating the obvious, as these now infamous videos exposed a series of incidents showing a coach insulting his players and physically assaulting them. Rutgers' reputation took an immediate hit, and the folks at Saturday Night Live were quick to poke fun at the whole scene.
Take that ball and you put it through that hole and I won't hit you with the bat.
But back to reality, the fallout continues to unfold. Listen to athletic director Tim Pernetti in our interview last January.
There's no taking the Rutgers out of me.
Pernetti was wrong. He resigned last week after it was disclosed that he saw the videos last fall and decided to let Rice off with a fine and brief suspension. The university president, Robert Barchi, says he didn't see the tapes until recently. But last fall, still new to his job, he explained to us how he views the Rutgers sports program.
I don't look at athletics just from the point of view of winning. I'm really serious about this. Our program is about athletics and academics, and I am as proud of the fact that we have the highest academic progression rating, athletic progression rating in the country, as the fact that we might be 6-4 or unbeaten.
Maybe so, but Pernetti was paid to make Rutgers a winner, which means recruiting winning athletes. And how do you do that?
I think it's 90% the coach. You know, having gone through the recruiting process myself as a student athlete, you end up making a decision about where you want to go, but ultimately you make a decision about the people that you want to spend your 4 years with. And, you know, make no mistake about it. People that don't experience it except on game day don't see it. These student athletes
the good coaches, the good recruiters, they go into your house, they sit down with your mom and dad.
They sell
the family
on you going. They sell you on this is your child and we're going to take care of your child like he's our own.
Now, if that isn't enough to scare some parents away from Rutgers athletics, consider this. The FBI has now gotten involved. Federal investigators are reportedly interested in Eric Murdoch, the former Rutgers basketball employee who supplied those videos to university officials and ESPN. Published reports say that Murdoch, now the FBI wants to know if Murdoch tried to extort money from Rutgers. Murdoch insists he was just trying to expose the coach's behavior, and he claims that he was fired for being a whistleblower. He is now suing Rutgers. Meantime, President Barchi, he was trying to do damage control today on the Rutgers campus in Newark. And our David Cruz was there.
Rutgers University President Robert Barchi's attempt at controlling the conversation at today's rescheduled town hall meeting ended abruptly when one member of the audience got up and forced a premature end to his PowerPoint presentation.
You have been speaking to us for 25 minutes, and you have been telling us the most obvious things imaginable. You have spent who knows how much for a consulting group to tell you that the educational mission of our university is research and teaching. Who knew?
The meeting, postponed last week after the Mike Rice controversy exploded, was supposed to be a conversation about the status of the merger with UMDNJ and an opportunity for students, faculty, and staff at Rutgers Newark to air their concerns about the future of their campus. Barczy's role in the scandal was front and center, with many here calling on the president to resign or to be fired.
This guy clearly withheld information that was really important to the Rutgers community and did nothing. I mean, what happened was a slap on the wrist, a fine. What did Rice get? A fine, and he had to go to anger management, right?
They were trying to hide it. I mean, since he knew from junior, why didn't he make a move ahead of time? Just comes to show you that they don't really care about students and about the faculty. All they care about is money.
I know the importance of sports in all universities, not just Rutgers, but it shouldn't be in front of education to the point that people's education is hurting, resources are hurting, research, whatever the particular departments are, is hurting as a result to put sports first. That I don't agree with.
Barczy was brought in last year primarily to shepherd the university through the controversial merger with UMDNJ. The neuroscientist and former provost at Penn had never run a school with the kind of big-time athletic program Rutgers is trying to develop. At times today, and indeed last week when the controversy broke, he seemed to be out of his element.
I serve at the pleasure of the board every day, and I serve basically at the pleasure of the university every day.
The university announced the formation of a search committee for a new athletic director who will then have to start a search for a new coach. The progress of the university's merger is ongoing and will be the subject of future town hall meetings like this one. The pressure from the university community is not likely to die down, leaving some to question whether he will even be around to see through to the conclusion the merger he was specifically brought in to supervise. In Newark, I'm David Cruz, NJ Today.
We're going to go back now to the Rutgers campus in Newark. Our David Cruz is standing by there. David, we got word late in the day that there's a new interim athletic director that's been named, Carl Kirschner. And I guess in a way that's aimed at trying to get this situation under control as quickly as possible, have these programs continue to operate. But you've been walking this campus today. What kind of vibe are you picking up there? What kind of damage has already been done?
Well, good evening, Mike. You know, it was really the first nice weather day of the spring semester, and there were a lot of kids out today, and they saw all of these media trucks here and 500 people at this meeting, and they were, frankly, most of them very embarrassed. This is a campus that is just getting past the Tyler Clemente tragedy, and now here they are again in the spotlight, not for something great, but for an unfortunate situation that has brought shame on this campus. And in this case, the students were the victim. And that's an important point that the students wanted to make. The Tyler Clemente situation was a little different in that it was students perpetrating this crime, for lack of a better description. But in this case, it was students who were victimized. And there was a lot of embarrassment here today.
David, is there a sense at this point that President Barczy is safe and secure and can ride this out? Or there's some believe perhaps that other heads will roll?
Well, as I said in my piece, he did get a vote of confidence from the governor today, but it's been 7 days since this story broke, and already they've lost the coach, assistant coach, the athletic director, and the chief counsel for the university. You know, reporters have this kind of macabre sense of humor, and already there's a pool now as to how soon before President Barczy is asked to leave. But that's something that's going to be left up to the governor, Mike.
All right, our David Cruz for us live on the campus of Rutgers University in Newark. State officials do continue to sound off on this scandal. The Senate President, Steve Sweeney, he issued a statement today calling for the resignation of, or the firing, in fact, of any Rutgers official who saw the tape before it was broadcast and took no action. A lot of little subtleties there. But as our chief political correspondent Michael Aaron now reports, Governor Christie is indeed standing firm with the Rutgers president.
Dr. Barczy made a mistake when he didn't ask to see the videotape. He admitted that mistake. In my mind, that is not a fireable offense.
Governor Christie defended Robert Barczy today. At the same time, he vilified former coach Mike Rice.
To me, the content of that tape is unacceptable for any person who is supposed to be a role model and a leader for student athletes. That's it. He should have been fired in November.
He called athletic director Tim Pernetti's resignation both necessary and appropriate.
Everyone's focusing on the video, and rightly so, because when you see it, it's disturbing. But remember something. This conduct apparently was going on for 3 years under Mr. Pernetti's supervision.
Christie told reporters he was in Jamaica with his family when the scandal erupted and implied that it dominated his vacation. He said he spoke to Tim Pernetti by phone once and Robert Barchi 4 times at length. He was asked to assess the damage to Rutgers' reputation.
Well, it's significant. I mean, you spend a week of time being at the top of the national news about your coach using homophobic slurs, screaming and yelling at players, physically assaulting them. That's not a good week. And so, but it's certainly stuff that can be overcome.
He said firing the coach was not complicated and that there are plenty of successful coaches in America who would never behave as Rice did.
One of my questions to folks was, what parent would let this animal back into their living room to try to recruit their son?
Christie said his own son plays Division I baseball at Princeton, and he would be irate if a coach acted that way. He said he spoke to successful coaches over the weekend, and they agreed Rice's conduct was reprehensible. He was asked if he faults Robert Barchi at all.
Dr. Barchi faults Dr. Barchi. I heard his press conference on Friday. He says that he wishes he had asked to see the videotape. But I will also tell you, as somebody who's in charge of a large organization, that you pick people, or people are there in positions. You have to delegate some authority to them. You cannot micromanage every issue.
Christie said he himself knew nothing about Coach Rice's annex until last Tuesday, but if he had, he'd have used his powers of persuasion at the Independent State University to get him out of there. For NJ Today, I'm Michael Aaron at the State House.
Moving on, Governor Christie's use of the state police helicopter is back in the news. The Star-Ledger reporting Governor Christie used it on 55 days last year, compares to 64 days back in 2011 and only 20 days the year before that. Some of all this was for official business. Some of it did involve travel to political events, and the records show Republican organizations reimbursed the state more than $9,000 for those trips. You might recall the governor took a lot of heat back in 2011 for using the chopper to get to his son's baseball game. He later did write a check for $2,000, a personal check to cover that expense. Bright lights on the boardwalk. That tops tonight's Garden State Express. Our first stop is Atlantic City, where the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority is going to spend $2 million to light up the exterior of Boardwalk Hall. It used to be known as the Atlantic City Convention Center. It's a national historic landmark that's played host to everybody from Frank Sinatra to the 1964 Democratic National Convention. Our next stop is Newark, where the Port Authority failed to convince the FAA that its police firefighters were just as good as a separate firefighting unit. So Newark Liberty, JFK, and LaGuardia airports will now be getting separate firefighting units. And the Port Authority will have to pay a $3.5 million fine. And our final stop is Galloway Township, where the Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge is finally reopened. It took a serious hit from Hurricane Sandy, but 3 months and 2,000 truckloads of landfill later have made it ready to welcome nature lovers once again. That's your Garden State Express for Monday, the 8th of April. Reports indicate that North Korea now is threatening another missile test and/or another nuclear test, perhaps very, very soon, further ratcheting up pressure in a very tense situation in a very delicate area of the world. That, of course, is raising concerns among New Jersey's large Korean community. Joining us now is the Deputy Mayor of Palisades Park, Jason Kim. He, in fact, is a native of Seoul, South Korea. Welcome. We appreciate your being here. Give me a sense of how the community feels at this moment.
They worry a lot because the North Korea is one of the regime that we cannot predict how they're going to act.
We've heard a lot of strong rhetoric before. Mm-hmm. Is it different this time?
Well, they have a patterns, but they actually shoot some bombs and everything to the property in Korea, Seoul, near the Seoul. So, it's worry because they actually showed their armed forces to us.
Seoul, for those who don't know the geography all that well, mm-hmm. is well within the range of the guns of the North Korean
I think
artillery.
Within a couple of miles. Then the missile actually gonna hit it within no time.
I presume you still have members of the family
Actually,
there.
My sister and my sister-in-law still live in Korea.
What do they say to you when you talk to them?
They worry. They worry a lot. But
are they thinking about going elsewhere? Is there anywhere? What is the government telling them to do?
Well, just keep cool and then, just have a normal life. But still, listening those Korean and they try to send a missile and nuclear war is very mind-boggling.
Is it really? Because we know that they have some nuclear weapons. We're not quite sure how many. We know they're capable of delivering them some way, although we don't know how effective some of those delivery systems might be. Mm-hmm. Are you, in fact, worried that it might not just be, if it comes to really true open hostilities, mm-hmm. that this might go nuclear?
That's what we worry about. And if it ever happens, South Korea will be one of the places that will be devastated by it.
There could be no victory
at all
in this war.
Yeah, and it's going to be all destruction because Seoul is so close. Even though all the way down to South Korea is still missile range, so it's going to be destroyed no matter what.
The United States position in all this, we still have somewhere in the neighborhood of 38,000 troops, I believe, stationed over there.
Yeah.
Recently, very serious and regular war games were conducted mm-hmm. with overflights of some B-2 bombers, for instance, and B-52s as well, which apparently aggravated the North.
Actually, that pissed them off. But still, whatever we have to do is whatever we have to do.
But do you think that should the United States be doing that, or should we perhaps be adopting a less aggressive stance over there?
Well, I believe that United States should be as aggressive as possible because we have to show them that they're not in control. We are in control.
A show of force, as it were?
Yes, I believe so.
Should we have more American forces in place over there?
Well, that's the president to decide it. But in my personal opinion, we have enough force there now because we have another army bases in Japan and nearby as well. And it's totally technology going on. So in terms of number-wise, it's okay. But the thing is, we have to be very careful because North Korea is not run by just one person who is in charge right now. Back there is a North Korean army. They have a totally different idea as well.
And it's one of the largest standing armies in the world.
A very strong one, too. And they have something that they can play with, something called nuclear arm. So that's the one that is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
We have to leave it there. Thank you for coming in, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Some financial assistance for victims of Hurricane Sandy, and it's coming from the Hurricane Sandy New Jersey Relief Fund. That's the charity run by First Lady Mary Pat Christie. It gave a $600,000 donation to Operation Hope, a nonprofit group that will provide free financial counseling to storm victims in Brick Township and several other New Jersey communities. We have spent an awful lot of time talking about all that damage down the shore, but it seems our battered beaches are actually making things rather interesting for New Jersey's surfers. Here's our senior correspondent, Desiree Taylor.
Rough surf may keep most beachgoers at bay, but not surfers.
It's very rare when we get good waves here in New Jersey, so when you get them, you got to get them whenever, be it rain, snow, sleet, cold, hot, doesn't matter. We're out here.
Jason Mitchell was among the brave souls out here just before Superstorm Sandy hit. Since then, he says, surfing conditions have changed along the Jersey Shore.
Things have changed for the better, but some have changed for the worse. Some new breaks have formed, where there never were waves, but some breaks are just, pretty much destroyed. You can't really surf there anymore.
The changes are due to a redistribution of sand along the coast, says state climatologist Dave Robinson. This natural process is common during the winter months, but Sandy wasn't your typical storm.
A lot of the sand on the beaches was pulled offshore, and you had some parallel sandbars that parallel the coast established. And what they do is grab the energy from the waves that are moving towards shore and curl them up into waves.
Big, gnarly waves may be good for surfers, but they're not for everyone.
But with that added sand offshore and the different bathymetry or the topography of the seafloor just offshore, it may result in more rip currents as we get into the summer. So that's a problem. And of course, the beaches have been reduced in size, which is at the detriment of most beachgoers, aside from the surfers.
Beach replenishment projects have also changed the landscape, and post-Sandy, more are expected to help protect the Jersey Shore. With time, Mother Nature will likely move the sand back until the next storm. For NJ Today, I'm Desiree Taylor in Allenhurst.
Where in the world is Senator Frank Lautenberg? He's still home following doctor's orders, recuperating from muscle weakness and fatigue. Lautenberg hasn't cast a single Senate vote since the end of February, and he issued a statement saying he won't be back this week either. There has been speculation that the 89-year-old Democrat is considering retirement, but today a Lautenberg aide dismissed that talk and he called it ridiculous. Well, this is shaping up to be one of the most interesting legislative races of the year. The former Republican Senator Peter Inverso wants to reclaim his old seat in the 14th District, but that means he'll have to defeat the Democratic incumbent Senator Linda Greenstein. Peter Inverso joins us now from the State House. Good of you to join us. What makes you at this position? I mean, you spent, 16 years in the State House before. Why suddenly coming back now?
Well, first of all, they were 16 great years. I love government. I love the challenge in government. And the timing is right. The leadership approached me with the proposition of seeking my seat. I deliberated it for quite a long time in view of where I am in my life, with my employment, with my future path towards retirement looming very, very near. And, so I was equivocating on whether to do it or not. However, this is amazing. The fact that the Democrats started a robocall campaign against me before I had even announced that I was going to seek the position basically threw it over the top for me.
So you're basically saying had they not taken aim at you, you might not have run?
I'm not saying that was the only reason, but it was decisive. I thought I am not going to be intimidated in staying out of this campaign. If there's a great fear on their part, and I suspect that this campaign will probably become, unfortunately, very negative, but I'm not going to let that dissuade me. So that was a very important causative factor in making my decision.
Well, let's not wait. Why don't we see how critical we can become right here and now? What is it about your opponent that you think justifies her being sent packing?
Well, I know Linda well. She's a wonderful person. I think, though, that I have a record which shows that I have been decisive on a lot of issues. I have some major legislation that I have sponsored and I'm proud of in terms of my service in the Senate. I don't think that where we're heading right now in this state, in terms of the kind of economic recovery and economic stimulus that we need, that the governor is putting in motion. We don't need anyone that may be a party person who would vote party-wise as opposed to what's important for the district.
But the governor himself has talked about this bipartisanship and his success in dealing with his Democratic colleagues. Has she been an obstructionist, do you say?
I believe that her record shows that she has voted with her party most of the time, yes. And on the other hand, I think my record also is clear that I have been able to forge bipartisan positions on many issues. I was the original sponsor of the pay-to-play reform, and I sponsored that with then Senator Funari, a Democrat. So, I've been able to work both sides of the aisle in terms of reaching consensus and compromise. And I think my approach to the job speaks for itself in that regard. So.
Can you find or think of any one specific area or issue in which you disagree with Governor Christie?
With Governor Christie? No, not at this juncture, to be honest with you. And coming back into the arena, certainly there is a ramp up for me. It probably won't be as difficult as it was the first time I ran. But, I believe the governor is doing the things that need to be done to get this economy moving. And I think we need to do more, obviously. I have a record of reform. I think the governor has tried to move reform further down the path. I want to be there to help him do that. There probably will be issues where we would disagree because my district is composed of many state workers. They're a large constituency. And in my years in the Senate, I was able to forge relationships with the unions. We weren't always on the same page. We always didn't agree, but we always didn't disagree. And I think that is potential where there may be some divergence of opinion on certain positions. But at this juncture, I think the governor, and the polls show this, has done a marvelous job in moving the state forward.
Peter Inverso, we have to leave it there. We'll talk again. Thank you for coming on, sir.
Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Finally, they're almost back, those big, ugly, noisy bugs known as cicadas. They only emerge from the ground every 17 years, and this is their year. But not until the ground temperature reaches 64 degrees, and then it's showtime. And you won't need anybody to tell you. The cicadas will. That does it for us. Back later with our Rutgers special. Till then, thanks for watching, and good night.
NJM has been advocating safety on behalf of New Jerseyans for 100 years. One of our original objectives in 1913 was to promote the well-being of those engaged in manufacturing, trade, or commerce. In the centuries since, NJM remains committed to that mission. Grown in the Garden State, NJM is proudly celebrating a century of safety for our New Jersey neighbors. More about NJM is online at njm.com.
Next on NJTV, BBC World News.
Hello, I'm Mike Schneider, and tonight we go inside the sports scandal at Rutgers University. The coach who was fired, the athletic director who lost his job, and today